What is going on, my beautiful people? Welcome to yet again another episode of the Pivot Mindset Podcast. My name is Justin. I am your host, and I'm super excited to have you joining me on yet again another episode. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we are helping people make life's pivots. We believe that life is all about the pivot, and those who decide to make the pivot decide to become successful. Success is a deliberate decision that we make each and every day to change our life. It starts with a mindset. It starts with a perspective that says, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I've experienced, no matter what failure I've had, I can make life's adjustments. I can shift. I could change. I could do something new with my life to become who I want to become. And so we thank you for tuning in. Please leave this podcast a rating, a review. It helps us continue to get the message out there. Any rating that you could put on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching this on YouTube, we would really appreciate the support and continue to share this podcast with your friends or your family, or if this podcast is helping you or being a blessing, we appreciate all of the continued shares and all that stuff that we get from the podcast. So let's jump into the topic. I want to talk about today enduring being terrible for a while. That's right. I want to talk about this topic of how do you endure being terrible for a while? You know, I think there's great promise for people who can be terrible at something for a while. In this day and age, in our culture and society that we live in today, I believe it's extremely challenging to be terrible at something for a while. You know, everything that we do in life won't always start out as a success. Everything we do, we won't have instant gratification. We won't be a one-hit wonder at every single thing that we do. Sometimes what we do and how we start something may not be close to how we're going to finish a thing. And I believe that what makes it so hard now in our society, in our world that we live in, right, is that we live in a microcosm of life. We can see people that are across the country doing amazing things. I could see someone in my space doing the same profession that I'm doing, driving a Lamborghini, living in a 10,000 square foot house, you know, all the things, have all the bells, have all the whistles. And you could easily begin to compare yourself, and your chapter 1 may be somebody else's chapter 35, right? And if you aren't okay with putting your head down and focusing, it can be challenging to do anything significant in your life, because everything starts off hard before it becomes easy. There's this hard, easy principle, and it's simply this. It simply says that everything that you're going to do, it first starts off hard. And typically when something starts off hard, you start off not doing good at it. You start off probably being terrible if you're honest with yourself. But eventually, the thing is either working for you or it's working on you. And so eventually, if you could continue to work the thing, whatever it is, it will eventually get easier for you. And I'd rather start something hard and continue to work it until it becomes easy than trying to do everything that's easy in my life first, because truly everything that starts off easy will eventually become hard. That's right. Let me break this down a little bit. So just like the hard, easy principle, there's also the easy, hard principle. And it may be easy for you right now to get up, go to your job, work your 9-to-5 schedule, come home, cook dinner, relax, catch up on the news, catch up on your latest show, you know, and sleep 8-10 hours and start the day back over. That can be an easy routine and a pattern for you right now where you're at. But 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30 years from now, that easy pattern may have created a hard life for you. And I believe this is also true, that if you can continually make hard decisions, that you will have an easy life. And if you could continually make easy decisions, that you will have a hard life. That's just what it is. It's just principles of life, principles of the world. If you build a life of always making the easy thing, or always doing the easy thing, or always doing what's most convenient for you, you're typically going to have a more challenging life. When you think about the pillars within a business, or the corporate ladder, if you will, or, you know, climbing any significant ladder in life, whether that's career, whether that's family, whether, you know, that's spirituality or religion, the higher you go typically means the more time you've had to spend with something and the more kinks you've had to iron out. And the people that are typically at the bottom, right, at the bottom of the totem pole, if you will, these are people that typically have to work the hardest, but their job per se may be the easiest. So, for example, and this is no disrespect to any janitors out there, right, or anybody that does manual labor, but most cases, manual labor, people who do physical, hard manual labor, they typically work harder than the person signing their checks or the person at the top of the organization or the CEO. The CEO rarely has busted knuckles. The CEO rarely has to take a shower before he, comes into the house. The CEO typically is white collar, right? And that's somebody who sits in the office and they use their brain to make decisions, where someone who may be lower on the totem pole, maybe an entry-level job, and maybe you're working at a factory or, you're delivering something, you may have a hard, physically intensive job. But the truth is the job is so hard physically because it's not as hard mentally. And if you can get in the pattern of knowing like how these things happen, how these things unfold, the easy decisions, so every single day when you go to work, if you may run a machine or you may be an operator at work, you can be making easy decisions every single day as you're at your job. But you will eventually live a hard life making those easy decisions daily. But the CEO is typically making very hard decisions every single day in the short term. And as a result, as they get later in life, they typically get an easier life, making the hard decisions every single day, personal development. The person that becomes a CEO, they don't just pop up and become a CEO. They typically have spent time in school. They've typically have spent tons of time in personal development. They've typically traveled and moved across the country. They have typically know what it is to put stress on their family because they work a lot of hours, or they've dedicated and sacrificed so much time to their craft and getting better to be able to be competitive and put themselves at the forefront of their life, right? And so those are hard decisions to make, but they're making the hard decisions to eventually get the easier life. So let me take a step back a little bit. Again, the topic for today is we're going to dive a little bit deeper into enduring being terrible for a while, because I want to make this thing come full circle. A lot of us don't want to make the hard decisions, because when we make the hard decisions, that means we have to be okay with being terrible for a short amount of time. And as I get older, I begin to concentrate on what it actually takes to do anything significant in my life. And I'm starting to see this pattern exactly. And I'd like to expose this particular pattern to the Pivot audience. This episode is sponsored by Andy and Kelsey Wozniak from eXp Realty. Andy and Kelsey are your trusted go-to Northeast Ohio agents for all of your real estate needs. On top of being amazing realtors, they are true leaders in the industry. They have done 20 plus million in real estate transactions over the last couple of years, or 60 to 70 transactions per year, which is next level. So if you're a realtor or have ever considered becoming one, these are the people you want to rock with. These are the ones you want to reach out to. They're building something truly special and doing it by helping other agents grow their businesses alongside them. I have personally done business with Kelsey and Andy. They are my realtors. We've worked together over the last 5 years, and they are true professionals who are perfecting their crafts as well as giving back to others. For my listeners who are thinking of buying or selling, Kelsey and Andy are offering to give you $1,000 off your listing fee, or $500 paid towards your closing costs, which is amazing. On top of that, if you're a realtor, Kelsey is offering a free discovery call to help you grow your business to a new level. Call Kelsey today at 330-690-0255, or follow them on Facebook under Life with Woz, LIFEWITHWOZ, Life with Woz, for more information and to take advantage of these great offers. So the thing I'd like to expose the audience to is the concept of eating dirt for a little while, right? And enduring sucking for a while. I've kind of coined this from Gary Vaynerchuk. For any of you, he is a serial entrepreneur, somebody who has typically a countercultural perspective around patience and what it is to eat dirt. And, not like he's metaphorically what it is to eat dirt. So hear me out. As we study the greats, the pattern that we see perpetuate itself is how long can you endure being terrible? How long can you endure the less ideal circumstances and situations, right? How long can you keep your head down and focus on the end goal and focus on the end result? This have become much more challenging now than it's ever been, because we are such consumers now, and we see so many people living their lives there, and they're posting their highlight reels on social media. And it can be hard for us to put our head down and work on what our business is, or work on what our structure is, or work on what our family is gravitating towards, right? And so the hardest part, especially in this time that we're in now, is it's so easy to compare. You can get caught in this comparison game. The Bible says that comparison is the thief of joy. There's something about comparison that will immediately turn your optimism into shame or doubt or fear or this pessimism, right? Because when you begin to look at someone else's life, it's comparison that steals the joy that you may have. You may have just gotten an associate's degree, and you see somebody just post about their bachelor's degree, and now your associate's degree is not as valuable for you as it used to be. Or you may just got a bachelor's, you see somebody posting with a master's. Or you may have just finally hit the 6-figure mark in your life and finally made 6 figures, but somebody else just posted a 7-figure life and that they finally got a Lamborghini or a Porsche or Ferrari or something like that for the first time. And so it can change your perspective about your thing. And this is one of the most challenging parts about putting your head down now, because for some people, you may have to get off of social media to do this. You may have to completely disconnect yourself from being so plugged into the world and so consuming everybody else's life, and put your head down and focus on your own life to get the kind of result and to get the kind of life that you want. And so there's this concept, right, in this topic of delayed gratification, right? And all it is an act of resisting or impulse of taking immediate available reward in hope of obtaining a more valuable reward in the future. So the delayed gratification, right, is what can I give up in the short term, and how can I delay gratification? How can I delay the reward that I want in the short term for the long-term reward, or the bigger reward, or the bigger outcome for the long term? And so the ability to delay gratification is often congruent to the level of success you will have. If you can find a way and build a lifestyle of sucking for a while, or eating dirt for a while, or being terrible at something for a while, a short sacrifice can lead to a long-term life of reward. And I've seen this so much in my life where I've had to sacrifice quite a bit. For me personally, sacrificing a lot of time and committing quite a bit of time into my own life. And as I get older, the more and more I realize the time it really takes to be successful. And, you know, I think when I was younger, I was so naive about the real time that you would have to invest to accomplish the kind of success that I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to be the overnight millionaire, and I wanted to have, you know, all the things that you would see on TV, or I wanted to live this super glamorous life, right, as I was, you know, in my early 20s. And I said, it's crazy now, this is coming back up to me, but I remember I said early in my 20s that I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. And when I said that statement, it was ignorant, because I did not know what it really take to become a millionaire by the age of 30. And I'm not saying that this is impossible, right? Because there are millionaires prior to 30. But I believe there's a few differences that I had when I was thinking this than the people who've actually became and manifested $1 million by the time that they were 30. And I personally did not have the work ethic or information or resources, the context, the people around me that would help me build that kind of life. And so now that I realize what it actually takes, I can make the switches and the flips to get the kind of life that I want. And these are things that I'm actively doing right now. But a part of this is making the sacrifice. A part of this is often it could be sacrificing time in your education. It could be sacrificing time in reading books. It could be sacrificing money to go to conferences that may be out of your state, or to pay to be in a mastermind or seminar, right? But it's this ability to say, I don't like where I am. I can make investments, or I can do something different with what I've got to get the kind of life that I want. But I am okay with not being where I am right now. Instead of letting it take over my life, or instead of letting it depress me, I can use that fuel to put it in something that's positive, putting that fuel, that like terrible mentality, like I suck at this, putting that, or I suck at life, or I'm not where I want to be in life, or I didn't accomplish my goal, putting that grit and that pain or that frustration, how do you repurpose that pain and put it into putting the necessary work and doing the self-improvement that you need to accomplish the life that you want, right? And so having leverage is all about the whole delayed gratification thing, right? And this may not be a sexy title because, you can put your head down for the next 12 to 24 months and just continue to build and invest in yourself and do all these things that I had mentioned prior. And that's not sexy. Like, that's not what our culture tells us. Our culture tells us that you should be able to go online, start a business right now and make you 6 and 7 figures and live the kind of life that you want. And if you don't have that, that means that you're doing something wrong. That's what our society tells us today. But I want to push back against that, because if you're listening to this episode, I want you to know that no matter where your start is, no matter what cards you've been dealt with life, that you can make the adjustments, that you can make the shifts, and it's okay to be terrible for a little while. But I believe those who become successful have found a way not to just endure the terrible, but realize, hey, you know what? I'm trash. Like, hey, I'm not where I want to be. And then use that as fuel to get the kind of life that they want, right? And so the truth is, if success was easy, everyone would have it, right? Or if becoming the kind of person that you see in your dreams and that you see in your vision, if that was easy, everybody would be that. Or we would see that the divorce rate would go down if it was that easy. We would see that suicide rates would go down if it was that easy. We would see that people would only be doing things that they're good at, or people are doing things that they're passionate about and that they're purposeful. We would see that there was more people living in their purpose, in their promise, in their destiny. But that's not the case. The case is that often we, one, don't know our purpose, and two, we don't know how to identify the steps that it takes to further clarify our purpose. And here's the thing, guys, and I feel like I'm bouncing around quite a bit, but here's the thing. When we talk about confidence, right, because I think confidence is so connected and it's so tied to purpose, because we don't often feel that we're doing something purposeful until we're confident in a thing. So for me, I may not feel like I can be a NASCAR driver. Like, I may not feel like being a NASCAR driver is my purpose until I get good at driving a car very fast. And then once I get good at driving a car very fast, I might think, I may actually be able to be a NASCAR driver. But the confidence came with competence. It was me putting the time in to perfecting the craft. And so I believe there's some people listening to this podcast where you've given up too quick. I believe that there are people out there who have given up on their dream, that have come up short, that have given up on their goals, that have given up on their purpose, that have given up on the reason why they were placed on earth way too quick, because you didn't see the immediate results. You didn't see the thing blow up immediately. You didn't see initial success, and you thought that it was wrong, but truly it was just you needing to endure what it takes to suck for a while to get better at something. You needed to go through the process of starting bad and getting better. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will the kind of life that you want. And I believe if you can get the clarity and have the understanding in your mind that you're not going to be great at everything initially, but just because you're not great at something doesn't mean that that thing won't be great for you. And so, can you endure being terrible for a while at something? If you really want to live a pivoted life, I believe that we have to continue to invest in ourselves. And investing in ourselves means that we are honest with where we are as people, and that we're honest with our level of competence in something. And if we want to be a motivational speaker, how good do you speak in public? And if you can't speak well in public, how about you invest in yourself to get better at it? If you want to be, the best basket weaver, how about you take classes on how to weave baskets, right? No matter what it is, whatever your goals are in life, I believe if we make the deliberate decision to invest in ourselves to get better, everything that's hard will eventually become easy. The whole hard, easy principle, and everything that is easy will eventually become hard. All right. And so I'm going to leave you with that today. I really appreciate you for listening to this episode. I'm super excited that you are a part of this community that we're building. Continue to rate, review, and place the love, and continue to share this podcast. And we're super appreciative of all that the followers and the listeners are doing for our growth and our success. And we believe here that life is all about the pivot, and those who decide to make the pivots decide to become successful. Peace.